Hello everyone and welcome to The Circuit, your source for tech and gaming news from around the net. I'm your host, Justin Pack. So this week we've got some news on two major video game franchise releases, another unlikely game-to-movie adaptation, people being held digital ransom, and crazy transport tubes in the desert? Yeah, well, let's get started with some game news. November 7th was this week, and that's the official N7 day, which is Mass Effect's official holiday. You know, N7 being the rank assigned to the player in Mass Effect series. Don't worry about it. So, BioWare felt that this was a good chance to finally start releasing some information about their upcoming space RPG adventure shooter game. It's all the genres. Mass Effect Andromeda. They released a new trailer for the fourth entry of the series, as well as several other details about the game that were released shortly thereafter. Mass Effect 3 was released all the way back in 2012, and people thought there'd be more information by now. But BioWare's been pretty silent about the game, and even at the last two E3s, there was almost nothing. This new trailer, though, doesn't really add much to that either, unfortunately. It was mostly flash with no real hard info given about the story or mechanics or changes involved in the new title. It was mainly just explosions, and look, we're in space, and there's a big bad thing that is bad, and you're gonna have to fight. It's kind of generic stuff. I was kind of underwhelmed personally, but I don't know, we'll see. I'll probably end up buying it regardless because it's Mass Effect. Yeah. BioWare has confirmed, though, that the new title will include a crafting system, something pretty absent from other titles in the series, a new Game Plus option that allows you to change your gender, so on your second playthrough through the galaxy, you can be male or female, and some details on how the experience mechanic will work in the multiplayer mode for Mass Effect Andromeda, which that mode is supposedly very similar to the multiplayer mode from Mass Effect 3, which was very well received. Other things that have been confirmed so far is that there will be opportunities to romance characters and loyalty missions as well. Both of those mechanics were present in previous entries. So no confirmation though if there's going to be any weird, awkward dancing animations, but hey, we can always hope. In regards to all this, if you're interested in Mass Effect series, there's a chance for you to play all three of the previous games now because they're all now backwards compatible on the Xbox Store. So if you have an Xbox One, you can go to the store and go get those Mass Effects. Yeah. Well, and another major game series that has announced some new information would be a Pokemon, including everybody's favorite augmented reality phone game, Pokemon Go. The Pokemon Go player base has shrunk pretty substantially since its release, but they are still pushing out updates and changes. One of these changes coming to the app is the inclusion of daily bonuses, which gives players rewards for doing activities several days in a row. So apparently they're really trying to incentivize people to please come back, play Pokemon. So things like catching Pokemon or visiting Pokestops right now will net you more rewards. It's basically what those daily bonuses are for. Some tweaks have also been added to the gym mechanic. So now if you beat a gym, another player can't swoop in immediately and take that gem from you, undoing all of your hard work. Jerks. And gyms are also now easier to beat, which has some players maybe a little upset. And there's also been some tweaks made in the way that the GPS player speed tracking works. So basically it's now impossible to grab Pokestops while driving in a car. Previously, driving at low speeds, you could kind of crawl past a Pokestop and go get those Pokeballs and potions. But I guess Niantic was worried this might be a liability, so they've pretty much removed the possibility of this at all. I really wonder if anybody's gonna come back. I mean, Pokemon tracking still doesn't work. There's no trading. It's super grindy. I mean, it was fun for a week or two, and then a lot of people moved on. However, though, Pokemon augmented reality on the Microsoft Hololens could be kind of fun. In fact, there is a fan-made game that has done just that, and it looks pretty freaking cool. But given Nintendo's penchant for taking away fan projects, I imagine they're going to be getting a cease and desist letter pretty quick. But hey, maybe one day we might get Pokemon AR glasses. That would be pretty sweet, and probably pretty expensive. Yeah. Well, and a bit more Pokemon news. The two new main entries in the series, Pokemon Sun and Moon, are coming out later this month, and ahead of that, apparently it has been just video game leak city all over the internet. Some users on the internet message board 4chan have apparently somehow gotten a hold of a pre-release copy of the game and have been posting information all over the place. Yeah, including apparently all the data on the game cartridge, so people are now even just pirating it. That's a shame. Well, it's just spoilers galore. So they've included all the new Pokemon, their stats, where you can find them, their move pools, spoilers of the story, including all the major plot points and the true identity of the final boss. So yeah, if you're looking forward to like playing this game for surprises and story, maybe stay away from 4chan. Actually, you should probably always just stay away from 4chan. It's a wretched hive of scum and villainy. Ugh. Hey, so if you do want Pokemon though, here's a hot tip for you. You're gonna need a new 3DS. If you don't have one of those, well, there's gonna be a special edition new 3DS selling for $99.99 on Black Friday. So go ahead and get on that. I probably will. See, don't ever say I didn't do anything for you. Well, all right, so last week we brought you 2 stories about some public relations problems over tweets sent by official gaming Twitter accounts. And this week we've got one more, except it might not be what you expect. Respawn Entertainment, the developers of the recently released shooter Titanfall 2, have sort of passively aggressively distanced themselves from the official Titanfall Twitter account, which is apparently not run by the studio but by their publisher Electronic Arts, the same company that got in some hot water last week over some Battlefield 1 tweets that were maybe a little insensitive. So, in the tweets sent out by the official Titanfall account, they were taking shots at Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and another first-person shooter set in space, just like Titanfall. And that was also recently released, so the official Titanfall account started pulling quotes from various reviews comparing Titanfall to Call of Duty, saying that Titanfall was superior, and just generally talking trash. In response to this, Respawn Entertainment sent out some tweets from their accounts congratulating Infinity Ward, the developers of Call of Duty, on their launch and just generally being positive. Seems like a PR team in EA really needs to figure out what their message is. No. In our last piece of video game news, we got something that's not exactly a video game, but a video game movie. There is yet another game-to-film adaptation. Any guesses what it might be? Halo? God of War? Tomb Raider? Words with Friends? All of those guesses would be wrong, because it's a mobile collectible cat game, Neko Atsume. Yep. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with that game, it's basically a thing where you open it up and then you put like items in your yard and then cats show up and then you take pictures of the cats and you put them in your cat book and you collect all the cats and they give you fish to get more cats. That's it. Yeah. The app was Japanese in origin but was a huge hit here in the US. Apparently it was pretty popular in Japan too since they're making a movie. The premise is basically a writer who escapes the big city for inspiration and moves into the country in a house full of cats. That's somebody's dream, I'm sure. The film is being produced in Japan for Japanese audiences, so no word yet if it'll be making it overseas, but there's gotta be an audience, right? People like cats, I think. I'm just now thinking about Tubbs. Stupid fat cat ate all my food. Didn't give me any fish. Well, the movie is slated for a 2017 release. Well, moving on to tech news, we have a cautionary tale from Madison County, Indiana, showing why you should always make sure you have good information security policies. The county recently paid an undisclosed amount of money to hackers who were holding their computers for ransom. It shut down virtually all of the county services last week. For those not aware how ransomware generally works, what happens is hackers encrypt data so that they can't be read and then send messages to the owners of the data asking for money in return for the encryption keys to unlock the data. So instead of trying to manually decrypt this or rebuilding the systems, the local government just decided to go ahead and pay the hackers. The county commissioner for Madison County said they paid the hackers with ransom from their cyber insurance, which I didn't know cyber insurance was a thing. This is not the first time something like this has happened. Some hospitals have been held ransom, including even like a number of police departments in Maine, Illinois, and Massachusetts. This apparently can be so hard to crack that one FBI agent even stated at a conference that probably paying hackers is just the best thing to do. Yikes. Ugh. I kind of wonder, they're like, what are the hackers doing with all this ransom money? Are they building like crazy fast hypertubes in the desert? Probably not, but that is a thing that might actually be happening. A super fast tube transportation technology called Hyperloop is being built in the United Arab Emirates that would connect Dubai to Abu Dhabi. Generally, this trip would take about 2 hours by car, but using the Hyperloop, it would only take about 12 minutes. Hyperloop technology is based on designs provided from SpaceX designer and borderline mad scientist Elon Musk. The company making this is called Hyperloop One and is based out of the US, but has received a substantial amount of funding from the UAE company group DP World of Dubai, which has like the 3rd largest group of ports in the world. It's a pretty big deal. They gave them about $50 million, even though they've yet to even do a full test of the technology, but they're scheduled to do one later this year in Nevada on a 1.9 mile test track. It's pretty cool tech, and it'll be interesting to see if it's actually feasible, but it seems like UAE is trying to beef up their infrastructure with something that's even better than what we see in the rest of the world right now. So I say let them do it and work all the bugs out. Yeah. I mean, if this was distributed in the US, like you could travel from LA to New York in 45 minutes. That would be pretty crazy. But you would be going 4,000 miles an hour. So that's also a little terrifying, but in a totally awesome way. Well, that's all this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully it wasn't too much about Pokemon. I promise no Pokemon next week. Yeah, anyhow, thank you again. See you guys next week. Man, that was a clean read. I only messed up like a dozen times. I don't have anything funny to put at the end. Gotta catch 'em all, Pokemon. Another major, I'm gonna have to fix that transition because I choked on my own spit. Space tubes in the desert. Space tubes. Ah.